Hello guys, welcome to our channel AskPrep. Today's series is of 11th class biology. We will be learning about the chapter first, that is the living world. Coming to introduction, life is a unique process that is made from aggregation of molecules. These molecules undergo various chemical reactions to perform their specific functions, which are called metabolism. This results in the reproduction and utilization of energy. The metabolism will result in growth, development, reproduction, adaptance of the living organisms through production of various biomolecules. All the living organisms that live in various habitats are found to share a somewhat similar genetic material that may be either terrestrial, aquatic, in mountains, deserts, ocean and forest. Living organisms contain certain important characteristics that include growth and development, body organization, homeostasis, reproduction, adaptation, and energy utilization. Next, we're gonna learn characteristics of living organisms. First, growth. All living organisms can undergo the process of growth and development that results in an increase in the mass and number of cells. Multicellular organisms grow by cell division. The growth of plants and animals take place with the help of cell division. In the case of plants, the cell division occurs throughout their life, while in case of animals, the cell division occurs up to a certain age and then cells lose their capability to divide. It results in an increase in body mass and increase in number of cells. Examples: mountains, builders and sand mounds, etc. Growth by accumulation of the material, although they are non-living, so growth cannot be taken as a factor which categorizes the organisms as living. Second is metabolism. As the body and organs are the constants of different chemicals, they perform various metabolic functions that result in conversion of chemical into other biomolecules. All plants, animals and microbes exhibit metabolism. It is absent in the case of non-living organisms but may be introduced through the in vitro method. Third is sensitivity. The living organisms, whether prokaryotes and eukaryotes, respond according to their surroundings and the stimuli present around them. It may be physical, chemical or biological. The living organisms are sensitive about their surroundings and are responsible in accordance with their stimuli. The stimuli can either be biological, physical or chemical. Fourth is reproduction. The ability to produce young ones is the process of reproduction, which is observed only in case of living organisms. In the case of fungi, reproduction occurs through asexual spores, while in the case of hydra budding occurs, and the planaria regeneration occurs, which are all the asexual method of reproduction. Reproduction is the increase in number of cells, while in case of mules, infertile human couples, etc. reproduction is absent. So, reproduction is simply synonymous with growth, which is not appropriate to distinguish the living organisms. Fifth is cellular organization. It is a defining characteristics of living organisms, since all living organisms are made up of cells that help in performing various cellular functions, resulting in the growth and development, reproduction and metabolism. Since non-living organisms are not made up of cells, so they don't have cellular organization. Coming to the last part, movement. The living organisms show movement and locomotion, and more specifically, plants move according to movement of the sun. Example: the flame of candle and a crystal do not show movement, while if we take mango trees, then we can see they undergo movement, growth and development along with reproduction, and results in the production of more trees through their seeds. Thus, mango trees are said to alive as they show movement, while candle flame and crystal are not alive. Coming to the next topic, diversity in the living world. The earth is a main area where the living organisms live. The world consists of millions of living organisms, that's something we can't even see with our naked eyes. These organisms are found to be living in various habitats that include forest, ocean, deserts, lakes and mountains, and even hot water springs. There are different types of plants, animals, insects in the world. This is very important and their variability is necessary for survival. The number of species identified and studied is 1.7 to 1.8 million. They all together make a natural diversity of life in this world, which is generally called biological diversity or biodiversity. So, what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is a study of classification, characterization, nomenclature, and identification of organisms. It is a branch of science. Systematics is another branch of science that includes the study of the classification, nomenclature, identification, and evolutionary history of an organism. Thus, the taxonomic characteristics of an organism along with its evolutionary history come under systematics. In 1813, A.P.D. Candolle was the first to introduce the term taxonomy, while systematics was introduced at the time of human civilization. Rules for taxonomy. Rules followed while naming an organism through binomial nomenclature are discussed below. It should be Latinized. The name must be written in italics, and if handwritten, the two parts of name must be underlined separately. The first letter of generic epithet is a capital letter, while that of a specific epithet is a small letter. Short form of scientist name who first described the species is added after the specific epithet. This is not italicized. Example: Mangifera indica L is the scientific name of mango. The generic epithet here is Manifera, while the specific epithet is indica. The letter AT in the end represents the lineages who named the plant. Coming to second part, identification. It is a method of placing the organisms in their exact place based on their classification. The identification of organisms can be done with the help of taxonomic keys. Third, classification. The classification is the process of grouping various living organisms based on the common feature that they share. A single group consists of those organisms that have similar common features. To make classification easier, various groups are formed in which different organisms are placed depending upon their characteristics. Coming to the last part, characterization. The studying and understanding of characters of organisms and categorizing them like external and internal structure, morphology and anatomy, the structure of cell, cytology and development process, embryology, and the ecological formation, ecology of the organism. Nomenclature. The naming of living organisms is called nomenclature. There are two types of names. One is vernacular, the common names, and the other is scientific name. Local names are used in local languages or in common language and are easy for local peoples, but these names are not used by biologists because for many species a single local name is not often used. The local names sometimes lead to incorrect meanings about the organisms. In different regions of country or world, the different local names are used for one organism. Scientific names, the names are given according to certain rules and are followed by biologists all over the world. To make it common around the world, various international codes have been established. These codes are ICBN, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, ICZN, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, ICVN, International Code of Viral Nomenclature, ICBN/ICCNB, International Code for Bacteriological Nomenclature or Nomenclature of Bacteria. Binomial Nomenclature. Carl Linnaeus is the one of credited for introduction of the binomial nomenclature of the plants and animals with his work in book Species Planetarium in 1753. Binomial nomenclature is the biological system of naming the organisms in which the name is composed of two terms where the first term indicates the genes and the second term indicates the species of organism. Example: Mangifera indica Lin, that is mango. Rules for binomial system. First, scientific name generally has two opponents in Latin or is derived from Latin irrespective of their origin. The first word of biological name denotes the genus name, whereas the second one denotes species. When applying in binomial nomenclature system, the name of species is written in italics or underlined separately when handwritten. The generic name must start with a capital letter, while specific name should be start with a small letter. The name of author is printed in Roman or an abbreviated form at the end after species name. Only one correct name must be assigned to each taxonomic group. The scientific name selected should be such that it would be easy to pronounce and short. Taxonomic categories. In 1956, the term taxon was introduced, and in 1964, Mayer defined taxon to be various categories based on the different characters of organisms that consist of a taxonomic group of any rank. Taxonomic hierarchy. Taxonomic hierarchy simplifies classifications by grouping organisms based on common characteristics. The hierarchy includes kingdom, division, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Species is the lowest rank while kingdom is the highest. The hierarchy was proposed by Carolus Linnaeus, known as the father of systematic botany. There are 8 obligated categories in the hierarchy. Now we will study hierarchy in detail. The last stage is species. It is the first stage. Let's start with the species. Species. It is the lowest category of the taxonomic hierarchy. There are around 8.7 million species observed on Earth till now, while their rest are left undiscovered. It refers to a group of organisms that are similar in shape, form, and generative options. Species may be more divided into subspecies. It was first defined by Ernst Mayr in 1964 that species are interbreeding in populations that are reproductively isolated from other such groups. The term species was first introduced by biologist John Ray. The second is genus, a category that is placed above species as they consist of a group of related species. Genus are various types based on number of species present, like monotypic and polytypic. For example, the genus Panthera consists of both lion and tiger. Family. The taxonomic category consists of related genera having similar characteristics. For example, the family Canidae, Felidae, Eurasidae, etc. come under one order Carnivora. This taxonomic category is more specific than class as it consists of one or more similar families. The class Mammalia consists of around 26 orders that include primates, carnivora, and etc. Class. It was the most general taxonomic category before the introduction of phyla. In the animal kingdom, there are around 108 classes that include species, reptilia, apes. The category used in classification now are different from those of Linnaeus taxonomy. Phylum. This category is more specific than kingdom. In the animal kingdom, there are around 35 phyla that include phylum Arthropoda, Chordata, and etc. Kingdom. The highest level of classification is the kingdom, which is further divided into various subgroups. The total kingdom of living organisms are 5 in number that includes Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Next topic is taxonomical aids. The taxonomical aids help us in study of knowing our bioresources and are also useful in agriculture, forestry, and industry. It can be used both in field as well as in laboratory. There are various taxonomical aids that are sued by the taxonomist that help in identification, nomenclature, and classification of organisms. The important taxonomic area includes herbaria, botanical gardens, museum, zoological parks, and keys. Coming to herbarium. A herbarium is a collection of preserved plants specimens that are dried and are labeled. The plant species that are collected and first dried, pressed, mounted, and then labeled on the herbarium sheets. The steps involved in herbarium techniques are as follows: collecting various specimens from different areas, drying the particular specimen by placing them in between the various folds of newspaper or by iron drying them. By dipping the specimen in mercury chloride, poisoning is done. With the help of cello tape or glue, mounting the dried specimens on the herbarium sheets. Lastly, these herbarium sheets are deposed under herbarium cover, where the rest of herbarium sheets are covered and packed. These herbarium sheets are stored in cupboards named under their category. Botanical garden. They are those gardens that are responsible for the cultivation and preservation of a wide range of plants. These plants are reserved along with their botanical names that are tagged as a label. It is a collection of many species of plants such as succulent plants, garden herbs, and many more exotic plants. Visitors include education displays, art exhibitions, and open-air theatre, musical performance with tours and other entertainments. Museum. The museum is a place where artistic and educational plants or animals are preserved, stored, and exhibited to the public. Museums are various types that include natural and science museum, zoological museum. The botany and zoology departments of all colleges' museums are maintained. Animals can also be preserved as they are placed in jars or containers having chemical solutions which help them to preserve for a longer time. The specimens are then identified and labeled and are then stored after their catalogue is prepared. Zoological parks. They are animal parks within enclosures that display to the public and replicate their natural habitats for behavioral patterns which benefit the animals and visitors. Special climatic conditions are created for animals and a walkthrough exhibit are there for visitors for non-aggressive species. Visitors are how to avoid eating food that animal might snatch or keep their paths away. The Zoological Park of Kruger in South Africa is the largest zoo in the world. The Zoo of Kolkata in India is the largest zoo.